someone states that something is impossible, they are stating their own limitations and not yours. Prove them wrong. Hello, and welcome to season 2, episode 6 of our podcast series, the podcast that inspires and educates through the sharing of real life experiences. I am Sheila, your host, and with me today is guest Sheila Azuntaba, joining in remotely all the way from Ghana. Sheila worked as an assistant vice president of Citigroup's Global Transaction Services unit in Nigeria. She joined EcoBank Ghana Limited as a banking relationship manager in their commercial banking unit, before moving on to join Citibank Kenya, where she became senior investment banker in corporate and investment banking. She is a former Miss Ghana and currently the CEO of Innovative Microfinance Limited. She is passionate about empowering the less privileged, and we are delighted to have her in our studio today. Sheila says, and I quote, "Be a game changer. The world has enough followers." Hello, Sheila, and welcome to Podcast with Sheila.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored. Thank you.
You're welcome. So how is it in Ghana?
Ghana is home.
It's true.
Ghana is peaceful, it's home.
Exactly.
And COVID or no COVID, we have each other. And
So true.
We're just taking a moment at a time, not even a day at a time. We're each taking a moment at a time. Learning to social distance, obey all the protocols and still be emotionally connected with our loved ones.
Yeah.
But home is always home.
So true.
So I'm happy to be home.
Yeah.
And this is home. This is Ghana. So
Wow.
yes. And we just swore in our president. Last month.
Wow.
Yes. And yes.
Wow.
Nanado for his second term. And
Wow.
the country is just about, getting off to a good start.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we're going to have more investments coming into the country.
Yeah.
And more tourists. So we're open once everything about COVID and all the vaccinations with, all the airports open. We're hoping to have more tourists back home, and also our brothers and sisters out there back home. We miss them.
Yeah.
I haven't seen so many of my friends in a while.
Yeah.
So we're all looking forward to meeting them soon. But other than that, Ghana is just Ghana. It's home. And
it's home.
It's all I can say. It's home.
Great. So what's one remarkable thing that you miss anytime you travel out of Ghana?
Oh, remarkable. A lot.
Yeah. A lot.
My support system.
Wow.
My family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I miss that.
Yeah.
I miss that. Ghana is, you know how it is. You don't even need to call before you get there. And there's always food. There's always somebody. There's a shoulder for you to cry on.
So true.
There's somebody to offer help, advice. And then you've got your family. There's nothing that can beat that.
It's so
true. I miss that a lot.
It's so true.
Yes.
Wow. It's so true. It's so true. I don't know if it's only Ghana, but I think all the African countries is the way we are, isn't it? We are very relatable to people and all. Mm-hmm. It's so true and so warm.
So you can imagine what COVID is doing to us. Having to not go home after on Sunday for lunch with the rest of the family and friends. All these. It's it's been interesting to really adjust to that, because we do everything at home.
Yeah.
Come home. We're always saying, come home for dinner, come home for lunch.
Yeah.
And all of that, we're having to find different ways of doing that. And it's teaching us a few new ways to bond. Yeah. But also it's not fun.
It isn't. I can imagine.
I don't like it.
It isn't. Oh my God. So what are some of the challenges you faced as a woman starting your own business, and how did you overcome them?
I think what I faced, most women, if not all women who want to leave their 9-to-5 jobs, face that as well. First, I think usually when you decide on an idea that, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and especially with me, It was a business idea that I saw the need, and I saw the help. I saw the end result even before I saw how to start it.
Wow.
But one of the most difficult things I faced initially was limited knowledge.
Okay.
I really didn't think it was that important to know and to actually obtain knowledge on microfinancing. I thought I was an investment banker. I thought I did finance for my MBA, and it's a no-brainer. It's good. But no, the only thing those two things have in common is finance and money. They're totally different. So I got into it without obtaining the knowledge, and that's what ignorance does to you. It would cost you more than obtaining the knowledge. So I learned that from the beginning. I lost money, and then I had to re-strategize and literally give myself an education by doing short courses on impact investments, microfinancing, rural microfinance, small scale businesses, how to set them up. All those things I had to. So that was one major thing. And I would always advise anybody who wants to start their own business is, if you don't have any income, don't leave your paid job.
Wow.
Your other hustle, whilst you maintain your paid job, so that the shocks of not getting your paycheck at the end of the month will not come in. So, but I started in innovative after I had resigned. So you can imagine.
Yeah.
Every shock was to the core.
Wow.
But I quickly had to learn. Then it came to being taken and being seen by people to be serious. You live in a society that can also have preconceived ideas. I'm a former beauty queen, and usually you have the mindset that, okay, when you're a beauty queen, you either have to end up in the fashion business, or, which I don't think it's a bad business, because trust me, that industry is huge. Or probably just you want to stay at home. So you had to let people know that this industry or this sector, which is dominated by men, it's a sector I want to get in, and I want to succeed. So that also had a lot of
challenge
climbing up to do. And then also you have a business environment that's not favorable. Being a microfinance company, it's difficult to raise local funding. And also for people to trust you to deposit with you when you've got universal banks with deep pockets. So you're having to compete with these big banks who have the deep pockets and can go into every area that you want to go to, but you don't have the scalable funds. So for you to convince another person to put money in your business, something that would take a universal bank a week can take you a year to do that. So those were challenges. And of course, you have the fact that women naturally, I wouldn't say, I had that a bit, I was a bit timid. I didn't want to really show what I was capable of doing for fear that people might ridicule me, or people might think I really don't know what I'm doing. So there was that time where believing in myself to be able to do it wasn't enough to keep me motivated and determined. And we sometimes want to humble ourselves as women. And I went through that phase. I thought being timid and shy was humility, only for me to learn later that humility is not thinking less of yourself, but rather thinking of yourself less. So I had to get to that stage. And sometimes you look at women who are doing it and you wonder, how did they do it? Because you're not getting anybody to push you. Starting innovative was also a difficult process, because now we have a lot of women who are coming together. We've got you, Sheila. You've put me on this program to share my story, to tell you how I've gotten here. 10 years ago, we didn't have this.
So true.
10 years ago, social media and, Instagram and all, it wasn't there. So we didn't have the opportunity to be coached or mentored by somebody who had done it before. And there weren't success stories for us to emulate. So for me, it was almost working in something more like working in the park.
Wow.
So starting off without all the examples to push you and to direct you and to inspire you was a problem. And then of course you also do have the fact that even people around you may not even think you know what you're doing, and that can be a bit depressing. So you always have to
encourage yourself
as a woman.
Yeah.
Yes, overperform. You have to outperform all the time to let people see your relevance. So all of those things were some of the difficulties. And then access to the proper resource.
Yeah.
Microfinance, it's not banking. So having human resource who share your passion and your vision, and like-minded staff, like staff strength, was a bit difficult initially, because when I started Innovative, we were not even regulated by the central bank.
Oh.
Innovative was, I think, 3 years old when we finally got regulated by the central bank. So you can imagine, we were just working with, from the office with no regulation. So everybody was doing what they were doing and calling it microfinance. Yes, until we got regulated. Then we had the proper structures in place that we had to follow to to make sure that we have the proper licensing in place and all of. So it was a bit difficult, but all of that is in the past.
And I think we should have more of people like you. I remember back then in 2005, no, 2006. 2005 was when I came out of the university. Then 2006, I'd done my I'd done my national service, and the university wanted to retain me, and then pay for me to do my master's to become a teaching assistant. And I didn't want to, because the area they were giving me was
why not?
Because they wanted me to teach art. I have an art background, and I wanted to do business for some reason. I was tired of the art.
I know.
So I said, okay, if they allow me to do MBA, then I will stay, and then I would become the teaching assistant. But they said no, the option was arts. And if I didn't want arts, then that was it. So I left it after my service. I left. After my service on campus, I left. So I had to go into the job market. And when I came out, seriously, I never wanted to work for anybody. I wanted to do my own thing. But then all my friends were going into the bank. And that was when the banking system had picked up and everybody was being paid well. They had their cars, they had their houses.
Yes, exactly.
And I was saying, no, it will take too long for me to get to where they are. So I was also going to the bank. So I had just been influenced by what I saw. So I packaged my CV and I started going to the banks. And they wouldn't employ me. Ask me why. Just because they said I had a first class, and they don't employ first class. And it never
because you don't have the balance.
It never made sense to me.
And I get that, because first class means you're just focused on one thing. They want to see that you have a balance, a work-life balance, where you can balance responsibilities. I think it's so myopic and so short-sighted. But then again, people are who they are. They probably, you had some HR generalists who thought, okay, first class, we're not taking them because at the bank we need them to have a balance. So if she's going to come into the bank, she's only going to be on the numbers, and we'll forget that you've got the other side, to also accomplish.
But if you don't give me the opportunity,
it was just.
My God, I was so frustrated for a year. I was carrying my CV, going from one bank to the other, one bank. And you know one funny thing? In one of the banks, my grandfather's very close friend happened to be on the board. So he heard about the story and he said, look, if they are not going to put you in, I'll use my position to put you in. And I was excited because I knew, oh, definitely I've gotten this.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I had to go through the mail like everybody. I went to do the aptitude test. I went for my interviews, upon interviews. Then I was staying at home waiting for them to pick me. And trust me, the final interview I went to was a panel of 9. And I thought that, oh, for this job, I'm getting it. Because the interview was so lively, it was chatty. And I thought, oh, anytime an interview goes this way, then it's successful. So I came out of the boardroom thinking, oh, I have it already. Then I stayed in the house. I was waiting.
You have the job.
He never called me. So I called the HR myself. And what the senior, they said, if you're interested in getting this position, you have to come to my office. Then I said, no, this is going the wrong way.
No.
So I did not go.
That's where you drew the line, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I did not go. Then I decided I'll do something on my own. In fact, this story is a very long story. So I started something on my own. I said, why don't I put what I've learned in school into practice? And then African print was not as common as today when they are using it into westernized styles. It used to be kaba and slate, those heavy styles for our mothers then. So I just walked into Printex one day. I walked into Printex and I had my portfolio.
Oh, I remember Printex.
Yeah. Is it still there?
No. Is it? I don't think so.
Oh.
I don't think so.
Wow.
No, I don't think so. It's not.
It's not. Oh. Seriously. They were just good. The man saw my portfolio and he said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to be able to put African prints into lovely styles so that it will be appealing to the young women and the young men, and then it will increase the sale of our prints. Because if we only have to put them into cover and slate, young ladies at that time won't, go for it.
No.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do was to have a magazine, do these styles and put it in. And the man said, okay, I'm going to give you 2 bills of fabric. So I got the 2 bills of fabric and I got seamstresses and tailors to make them into designs. We had photo shoots and then I put the magazine together. Then my first edition, second edition, the marketers messed me up. And the story goes on and on and on. But the challenges are very huge. And sometimes when we don't have the support, we give up quickly. So when people like you come in,
it's that giving back.
Yeah. When people like you come in the scene, then you kind of mentor us, like you said, so that when we have ideas like this, we don't quickly give up, but keep it together.
No, at all.
Yeah.
At all. I think, I mean, look where you are today. Imagine if you had gotten the banking job, you probably would not be doing podcasts with Sheila.
No.
You would have been doing your 9 to 5, working for a bank.
Yeah.
And excuse me, and this is not to sound obnoxious, but literally a paycheck away from poverty. Because, and when I mean by poverty, I don't mean poverty in terms of financial poverty, but poverty in terms of, going for your passion, giving back, impacting lives, all of which you get when you become an employer or self-employed.
So
because if even though you don't do 9 to 5 as an entrepreneur, I think you work 24 hours, 7 days a week as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But it is so fulfilling because you're doing something for yourself and ultimately doing something for the society or the community in which you live in. So for me, that is usually a gain. Yeah. And I would take that any day.
Yeah.
I'll take that any day.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things is you didn't give up, and you didn't see failure as a dead end. One of the things, when I started Innovative, and it's literally like your story, Innovative was actually my MBA project. I did a project on how to empower. I'm from the North, I'm a Northerner, so I've always been passionate to give back to the women up North. Yeah. And when I wanted a project, I remember I spoke to the professor then. I said, I wanted to do something where I really see the need. And if it's possible for me to do a project that I could go around, I did my MBA in Glasgow, I could go around Scotland, to raise some, money to come back home to help. And he was like, okay, so go for it. So I came home, ran a pilot, and then I realized, okay, there was a need. And that need was that you have all these strong, willed, determined, resilient women up North. They literally carry the entire household. They are smallholder farmers. They birth, they teach, they nurture. I mean, all of it, everything up North, it's by these women. Wow. And I thought, what can we do to help them? And it wasn't only giving them financial, and I don't believe in free lunch as well. I don't believe in aid. So I was of the view that if you kept giving them aid, what you're doing is further impoverishing them. So what I came up was a term that I finally settled on as financial inclusion being a universal human right for women.
Wow.
And I thought it shouldn't really end in conferences, because we talk about financial inclusion, we talk about how to get the excluded included and all of that. But usually we don't go to the bottom to see what they really need. Exactly. A lot of the times people think, just give them money, give them aid. Yeah. Aid, no, they don't need aid. They need education.
Yeah. Yeah.
They need education, they need infrastructure, they need resources, they need financing, but responsible financing and sustainable financing. They don't need aid for 3 months and then no aid for 1 year.
Yeah.
What do you do to a human being like that?
Yeah.
That's suicidal.
It's so true.
So you need to give them something that they can use to build up on so they can get off the poverty line and then take care of their household.
Yeah.
Because Sheila, we are mothers, we're women. Every mother and every woman wants to see her child grow up to be better than she is or
so
she
true.
was.
Yeah.
And to also get to get everything that she never got.
So true.
And it's the same for these rural women.
So true.
It is the same thing. And if you ask her a question, all she tells you is, I want this little boy or this little girl to really become what I was never able. I just want her to be able to read and write.
Yeah.
Because I can't read and write.
Wow.
I was never given that opportunity. And if, as a woman, all she wants is to be given the opportunity to do something with her life so she can take care of her children, why not?
Yeah.
And when you talked about that, I think we talked about where sometimes some women feel, I think the last podcast, they don't get enough help from women who've achieved so much.
Yeah.
Now, what I learned what I learn every day from these women in the rural communities is humility. They humble you, because when you go into that neighborhood or into that community, the woman who is considered Magajia, the woman who's considered like the queen, the market queen, she's not worried about another person coming to be the market queen. She wants to make as many queens as possible.
Wow.
She wants to make sure that more market women are queens. Because if you speak to her, she tells you that, listen, I don't sleep, Sheila, I don't sleep, because every morning I wake up, there are 2 or 3 women who've come to me to help them do something. But if I'm able to get them into your company to help them so that they can take care of their own stuff, I sleep.
Wow.
And if women who've never seen the 4 corners of a classroom can do this for each other, I mean, it is a shame for somebody who's been to a university not pull along another woman. It will be a pity not to see that, because that's why I'm like, gosh, you would see a woman or 4 women. Let me give a typical example in some of the Muslim communities where it humbles me every time I go there. It's, the men are sometimes allowed to marry more than 1 wife.
Yeah.
And whereas normally these women should be rivals and be looking at stabbing each other every night.
Yeah.
No, they put themselves in a group.
Whoa.
Yes. They put themselves in a group and then come to our financial literacy classes.
Okay.
And guess who the manager is? The manager usually is the first wife.
Really?
and this is not something we never taught them. We don't teach them. They decide that for us to be able to be strong, we need to come together to be strong.
So true.
And for us to be stronger, we need to empower each other.
Yeah.
So when you see that, of course, you're going to go out there to look for funding to help them, because you don't get that amongst educated women. And if this is what these women need, it's not something that is, it's not rocket science. And so that drives me every time, and when you see the impact, you see women who live in mud houses. And her whole dream is to be able to build a house where she can roof with aluminum roofing sheets. And for her, that is her self-actualization.
Wow.
You and I may not think this is any big deal, but for her, and she will do anything to get there. She'll do anything to see to it that her kids are in school and they're given, a hot lunch when they come home. And just these basic things, you need to see that, to really, be pushed to help. And so sometimes I kind of feel, okay, I'm not like a charity, but this is a for-profit business with shareholders, governed by the central bank. But behind it for us is to see that whatever help we take into a community, the impact is seen and it's felt. If there's no impact, we just don't lend to any woman or any community. That community must have something viable the women are doing. So be it shea nut picking, be it parboiling of rice, basket weaving. I mean, all these are women, and the smallholder farmers. I remember when the first time I learned about failure was when I met a group of smallholder, small-scale farmers, women, all women. These are about 50 women. And I asked them, so why do they love farming? And they just, one of them burst out laughing and said, I don't know anything else, and I'm never going to give up. I've failed so many times, and I'm never going to give up until I produce that crop that becomes a sought after crop. I was like, okay. So you're not giving up at all. And I usually speak my local, like a local dialect. And she said, fail, she doesn't even know what that is. She just sees it as, another thing. She's like, I really don't see it as anything. I just see it as more like a detour. And it's just an event. It's not a dead end for me, And one woman, I remember she said, for me, failure, it's like a valuable teacher. And I respect that teacher so much. And the way she said it, we all burst out laughing. She said, I respect that teacher so much. And so those are the stories. I mean, learning from them. And that is how you can learn from them. You think you're going to give them knowledge. You think you're going to give them something they're going to go like, wow. No. Don't be so ignorant, because you get to learn a lot from them. They teach you patience. They teach you perseverance. They teach you humility. And they teach you to keep going, because when they tell you where they came from to where they are and where they want to go, you come back and you tell yourself, come on, Sheila, really? You just want to think that you want to give up? I mean, look at them every day. And you go into a community, especially the basket weavers, and these are about 200 women, 100 women sitting out in an open field, weaving baskets, singing and dancing. And you're like, wow, okay. With so much passion. And you come back home and you're like, okay, at least today we did something good. We did something impactful. And that alone, should always keep you going. So really, we need more of such women in the corporate world. We need them to come out behind every woman who says, I want to leave my 9 to 5. I want to do something with my life that is more meaningful. But teach me, how did you get here? Is there something I can learn from? Can I take away something? Can I also teach you something? Because you see, as much as you think you're teaching them, you are also learning. And I said something, I think from the beginning, that when you are up there with a seat in that boardroom, for you to remain relevant, you need to look down and get that from there, because it is the ones you impact at the bottom that would help you be relevant. You can't do it by yourself up there.
It's so true.
There's
and those up there,
all around you.
So true.
The next man wants your chair.
It's so true. It's so true.
You have to be open as a woman. You have to bring on board so many women and ensure you share.
Yeah.
What's the point in keeping your knowledge and not sharing it?
Exactly.
You're just going to be so rusty.
So true.
Because if you don't share knowledge, you don't gain knowledge. You give to gain. You give to gain. You don't gain all the time.
Exactly.
Then that's not life.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
it is suicidal.
And
it's one of the things that actually pushes a lot of us to be so successful.
Yeah.
And yet we can come down so fast. And Sheila, one thing about success is that woman has her own timeline. Success is not forever. You're successful today in something. But tomorrow you're going to be found wanted in something else.
Something else. Wow.
So when you're successful, you should know that there's a timeline to that success.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hurry up.
Yeah.
Do as much as you can from it.
Exactly.
But make sure, reinvent yourself if you have to.
Yeah.
But keep certain standards that would scare you to death, and keep doing that. But don't forget to make sure that you teach others so that they don't fall into the difficulties you went through.